Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Entertainment of Excellence, the podcast where we talk about films, TV, all of it. Hi, I'm Ollie.
I'm Thomas.
Hello, I'm Ben. Oh, look, the one time we get the intro timing right.
Yeah.
Bloody
I
well
thought this was
screw
going to
it
be the one.
We were so close. I mean, we weren't, but...
Oh, it was so nearly a good time.
Oh,
got him. So, today we're going to be discussing the movie Good Time.
If you hadn't guessed.
My very subtle transition into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's 27.
It is a 27 movie.
This
From
is
the
a
year
27 movie. Yeah, it was produced in the year 2017.
Yes.
This is a mess. Let's just... Tom, do you want to give a plot summary before any of us screw it up further?
I'll give it... Okay, so it's directed by the Safdie brothers, also known for Uncut Gems, which came out last year. It was also like an intense crime drama. This is another crime drama thriller about two brothers. They try and do a bank robbery. It goes wrong because the money's got loads of dye on it. It goes poof. Robert Pattinson's brother, who has some kind of mental disability, gets arrested, and the rest of the movie is basically about Robert Pattinson, or his character is called Connie, trying to get the bail to get him out of prison.
Yeah.
So that's the general idea.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yep.
What were your general thoughts when, like, at the end? Did you like it?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
It's quite intense, but I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Uncut Gems as well. This is kind of... It definitely feels like a precursor to it, so a lot of the shots are... I mean, I'd say most of the film is all, like, close-ups on people. So even just them, like, walking through a house, I remember there was a shot of the back of Robert Pattinson's neck as he was just walking through an apartment, and it really helps make you feel kind of claustrophobic, and everything's tense and frantic and moving all around you. So good directing, as I'd seen before, which was good.
Yeah. There's also quite a bit of like shaky cam, but like used in a good way to help build the tension. Because like, in a lot of films you can go overboard and use that too much. Where I didn't get that impression here. I think it was used effectively.
Yeah, and I didn't feel like I wanted to throw up or anything.
Yeah,
because that can happen with loads of close-up shots. The tension was also helped by like a great soundtrack.
Oh yeah, the soundtrack
loads
was really
of like
good.
Pulsing synthesizers. There was also a bit in the hospital scene where it was like loads of percussion because it was trying to be more quiet, tense, and I like that as well. But it also knew which scenes didn't need music, which can sometimes be a problem. If people, sometimes it feels like the director's insecure. They're like, oh no, this scene doesn't feel tense enough. I need to add scary music. But I didn't feel that they did that at any point.
There was a review we saw on IMDb before we watched the film that was complaining that the soundtrack was too loud. And like,
I just said it was
the
whole thing was too loud, didn't it?
Yeah. I didn't really get that because at times, like, I actually had to turn the volume up for it, but that just might be me.
Yeah. I thought because sometimes they didn't necessarily have to use the soundtrack, as you were saying. So, so in the scene where they're in, is it called Adventureland or something?
Yeah.
The theme park. That sort of creates a really claustrophobic atmosphere with like obviously the lights and the sounds from the theme park.
Yeah,
I really like that scene.
That was groovy. Let's go through scene highlights. I also like the original like bank robbery because there wasn't really any dialogue. They were just passing notes back and forth between this person and a counter. So that helped it keep really tense, and you could tell they were on edge, even though they have masks on, so you could see nothing of their face. Just they managed to still look really nervous and on edge. I don't know how they managed to do that, but that was cool.
The really weird thing about that scene, though, is like there's sort of the juxtaposition of how it's obviously morally wrong because it's a bank robbery, but then there's also the fact that Connie's trying to get the money to help pay for Nick's, I remember what it was, like therapy or something.
We think it is a bit ambiguous.
Well, it doesn't actually say that.
But then there's also the fact
you find out
that
later on that Connie, Robert Pattinson, has some kind of lover, you assume, and they say about like that they were gonna go on some kind of escape. And he was also really specific. Stable. Yeah, and he was really specific at the bank, like saying $65,000, and that could be enough to kind of start somewhere new in some other country, like she was saying. So he may have had selfish motives and just dragged in his mentally disabled brother. So
I think that.
But then I guess
I was just going to say also in that scene there's also sort of a juxtaposition between obviously Connie, who's sort of set it all up and he's like really in control, and then obviously Nick, who's kind of struggling to deal with it. That sort of makes it more tense.
Yeah, but then like that was sort of what I was going to say. In that there's also the fact that it feels like there's sort of it shows the highlights of their relationship together, like, and I guess it could be interpreted in two ways. It could be, you could go the good way in that he's dragging his brother into it, but he's really supportive of his brother. He knows what to say, and like when they're out of the bank and everything, he's like really nice to him, and it's like, you did great. We couldn't have done this without you, you know. But then I guess the other interpretation is he's being selfish, and then he just runs away whilst his brother is like struggling and is like smashes in that door and is like behind him.
There's not actually that many scenes in the film with both of them in, because I know that Nick has quite minimal screen appearance, but it's sort of interesting to sort of look at Connie's motives when you don't actually see much of them together, but obviously when they do, then he's like really supportive.
Yeah. Because it's interesting because you don't know why he wants the money, but then he does want to get his brother out of jail. So you don't know if he's kind of thinking he wanted to get this money for himself to go on this escape or whatever, and then when he realizes he's done something wrong, he tries to fix it, but unfortunately ends him in going in a downward spiral of doing worse things, which eventually leads in spoilers in his arrest.
Yeah.
One thing I did find was that the first bit was really like kind of shooting through the pace, and the whole thing does feel fast paced, but there were certain points that felt slower than others. I didn't feel it all the time, but the section where he's in the woman's house from the hospital that he stays in, he does seem to kind of spend a while just watching TV and stuff.
Getting a little intimate with the girl who's
16?
1 year younger than the age of consent in New York.
Yep, a little bit dodgy. But I guess
he sort of like trying to distract her from seeing him on the telly? Yeah. But even though, how can she not work out that something suspicious is happening there?
I don't know.
Yeah, she's like either incredibly sweet and naive, or also just incredibly gullible, because there's so many things that happen around her, and she just doesn't seem to question them. Like,
that is true, yeah.
Also, I can't remember. Did they ever get, like, she was taken away in the police car? Did they ever get her? I don't think they did.
Well, she didn't really do anything wrong.
Yeah, but they just kind of abandoned her.
yeah, I see what you mean.
Like,
yeah, well, it kind of shows that he doesn't really care about other people. That's part of why you're not sure on his motives, because he doesn't seem to take into account what may happen to other people whenever he does stuff.
Yeah, because the whole way through it literally just follows him, and then all the other characters in it sort of just in one section of his story, and then you never see them again.
Yeah. You never find out what happens with it. It leaves quite a bit of stuff ambiguous, but I think I do like that. Because sometimes if movies just tell you what happened, it can be annoying. For example, there's in the first scene, which I really enjoyed actually, where it's Nick talking to this therapist, and it's quite tense and emotional, which is pretty good. And you find out there's something wrong between Nick and his grandma, and you actually see the grandmother a bit later on, but on the news, and she makes it sound like these two brothers have done some kind of wrong to her. So you never know what's happened there.
The opening scene was quite weird because it sounded like he was getting along just fine with his memories of like the event, and obviously they'd be a little skewed because he's like mentally handicapped. But then Connie just bursts in and is like, he doesn't want to be here, he hates it, you're abusing him and all of that, when the therapist didn't seem to be. So I don't know, I guess that's another way of questioning Connie's motives, because
as soon as he does that, it takes him to rob a bank.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's 17 minutes until the opening credits as well. Sort of weird.
Is it a crazy credit, in fact?
A crazy credit, yeah.
It kind of makes sense, though. Because what is it going? The credits are going over the prison sequence, aren't they? Of Nick and prison.
Yeah. So literally, you only really see Nick before the credits, and then right at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you think you see him before, but it turns out to be that random guy. I think he's called Ray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think about the bit where he's telling him about him just getting out of prison and the whole like LSD thing and Adventureland? Did you think it was kind of odd that it cut away to that, or because I mean, I when it came on, I was like, this is pretty cool and quite stylistic. I like it. But when I thought about it, I was like, what's the point of this? This seems a bit random.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
I did initially like it when I watched it, but I just thought that character would kind of be expanded after a bit, but he actually is quite key in the plot.
Yeah,
I think it might have been quite necessary just to set up the whole thing where they're looking for the money.
Yeah,
it feels a bit coincidental, if you ask me. But
yeah,
I guess it was necessary.
Yeah, that whole subplot seemed very convenient, but like not as convenient as some of the stuff in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like you could overlook
not like Eleanor Roosevelt turning up and helping them out.
Yeah. When the guy was going on about, I'm gonna start that again. When Ray was on about what had happened to him since he'd left prison, it seemed kind of weird that like so many bad things happened like in a row. So he like got out of prison, met his buddy, they had something to drink. He goes in like a cab, but then he doesn't have any money, and the driver freaks out, and he freaks out, and then he jumps out of the cab and wrecks his face. And like after everything that happened, it just seemed that so much had gone wrong for that one guy that was
It makes sense, though, I think, and it doesn't feel like everything's gone wrong. Yeah, but it also felt like it was actually driven by the guy's decision making. You know, I mean, does Ray really have to go straight back into his drug dealing friends and then literally instantly go to an arcade peddling this LSD? I mean, obviously, it might be unlucky that the police turn up or whatever, but I mean, getting into a taxi and then saying that you've just got out of prison is going to freak someone out.
Yeah,
and I think that him leaping out of the taxi helps set up and foreshadow his terrible decision making that leads to him climbing out the window in the security guard's apartment, and where he ends up falling to his death. That was pretty I feel like I should have seen it coming, but I just assumed that he'd be able to climb down, and then he just falls off. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
There he goes.
Even there, you don't have any reaction from Connie.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't do anything, does he?
He just kind of...
And that's the last we see of him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because the film ends on like an oddly optimistic note where like Nick is back with his therapist, and then he kind of like enters a class for other mentally handicapped people, and they all seem to be having a good time, which is kind of an odd juxtaposition to the rest of the movie, but I guess it was artistically done so.
How long after is that meant to be?
It can't be too long.
Like he's
after.
fully healed from just beaten up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but you don't really see him
long after because
that's happened.
Yeah, but they kind of left it where it looked like he was almost going to be beaten to death.
Yeah, but I suppose it makes you sound like there's been a trial for his brother to go, and not only do trials take a while, it can also take months for them to before they actually happen.
Yeah.
And then also him agreeing to do these therapy classes, it sounds like, because he said he made the right decision, but that could have also been him confessing. So it would have been a while, and it also it changes from when you've seen him, Connie, like pull Nick out of the therapy before, when it might have actually been helping him, to then when he's not in Nick's life, he then does the therapy classes, and he seems to join in. He starts off a bit wary, but then kind of crosses the room. Although it is a bit depressing, the stuff that he does, because he says like falling out with his family and being blamed for something he hasn't done. But it kind of also shows that Connie was such a negative part of his life, even though because I remember there was a phone call with his grandmother again, of where he was saying that Connie's the only one that actually cares about him, and it kind of shows how manipulated he's been by Connie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's weird, mate.
That you know when Connie he went to the house and then he was on the phone.
Yeah.
Who was he calling there?
I think he was calling
I don't know.
Mother.
To be honest.
He was calling his mum.
Might have been his mum.
Yeah, it was his mum.
Yeah.
Because he was on about.
So.
He was saying like, "Come pick us up from this house." Unless like, I don't know.
It could have been his girlfriend or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. That just seemed a bit odd that was sort of never mentioned again.
Yeah, I forgot about that. There's a few odd things that don't seem to come back up, but it doesn't ruin it too much, I don't think.
I mean, I forgot the girlfriend existed until you mentioned her.
Yeah. But Robert Pattinson was great as Connie. Obviously, he's been doing well keeping himself out of the whole Twilight scene to try and escape just becoming a bland teenage heartthrob actor and doing these kinds of more independent films. And I mean, he's such a great actor. He was really good in this. Kind of, You're not too sure what he's always thinking, but you can definitely tell what he's feeling.
Yeah.
It's almost as if he always seems to have a certain element of control, even though it's just complete chaos what's happening to him.
Yeah. And I really liked that scene of him kind of having this superiority thing with Ray, where basically Ray says, like, oh, you think you're better than me? And then he goes, no, I am better than you.
Oh, yeah.
And has this rant about Ray being off welfare and draining society, but you never actually see Connie do anything productive either.
Yeah.
And you can't tell if he actually is an idiot and thinks he's superior, or if this is kind of him taking it out on himself.
I guess something else that's quite cool is, like, I saw that only Robert Pattinson and Benny Safdie, who played Nick, actually had scripts for the film, and all of the other actors were just given like a really detailed background of what the character's like, and they sort of improvised and reacted to it. So
yeah,
I guess that's kind of interesting because, especially with like Ray, and the way that he's reacting to things, especially in like the fairground place.
Yeah.
Because with a lot of the other characters, so like his girlfriend and also the security guard and Ray, they're sort of like acting more out of emotions, whereas even Nick and especially Connie are obviously more like controlled over what they're doing. So that might be linked with sort of not having a script.
Yeah, it could be subconsciously sort of driving home the fact that Connie has he doesn't have control, but like you said earlier, that sort of sense that he does over all of the things going on to him. You still sort of get the sense that he is in control, which might be to do with the fact his part was scripted.
In fact, apparently Connie Nikas was written specifically for Robert Pattinson, because he literally emailed them about a poster from a movie that they'd done. I think they did this movie, Heaven Knows What. Yeah, and he just said he liked the energy of the poster and wanted to work with them. And they did. They wrote an entire script. And there's loads of other cool stuff they did, like you said about the supporting cast not having the actual scripts. They also they hired real policemen for the mall chase scene and did it while it was open to the public. And some of the customers even tried to stop the police from chasing the actors, which is pretty great. Also, all the film locations weren't locked down. So obviously Robert Pattinson being in Twilight, this massive film franchise, they were worried about people noticing him, but not a single person did, and no picture was taken during the entire shoot of him. And they told them if anyone was stopped that they'd be working on an untitled social work project. Pattinson stayed in character off screen so that he wasn't recognised, and you know the security guard apartment thing?
Yeah.
When they were in the lift, one of the local residents asked Robert Pattinson if he was Bradley Cooper's security guard, because they heard a movie was being shot starring Bradley Cooper. And the great thing is, I'm pretty sure that Robert Pattinson would be pleased with that, because he's just that kind of guy. It's really odd being such a massive film franchise and then just not really wanting all the fame that comes with it. It's pretty cool.
That did help to make it a lot more authentic.
Yeah.
I've actually never heard of this film before.
No,
I only heard of it because I watched a video on Robert Pattinson's career. And this film came up because it's because of the new Batman film coming out with him on. They're like, let's have a look back at what he's done. Because he's basically done a load of more independent projects after Twilight, which seems to have worked. It seems to be a really good idea if you don't want to be only known for one thing. Do what Robert Pattinson's done. And now he gets to come back and be Batman. Because he is actually a really good actor. I think that's the problem, is that sometimes people can be written off if they do some big thing when they are actually good actors.
Yeah.
It could even be quite depressing for people, I suppose, if they feel like people don't actually credit them for the work they've done. But I am just guessing now, so...
Yeah, I can imagine if you're just known for one character. It can almost just be like, what's the point in the rest of my career? Like, I might as well just stop now. But if you're sort of doing more independent projects, then yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, like I heard that the actor who did Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original trilogy was like he was pretty old, so by the time he was doing Star Wars,
it's Alec Guinness, isn't it?
Yeah. It was one of his later roles, and he sort of got typecast for it a little bit, and I think he just got really frustrated that Star Wars just overlooked all of the stuff he'd done in the past. So
he was in Bridge on the River Kwai. I didn't even know this. I've not really looked at. I knew he was a big actor because they didn't have any money to pay him with, so he took some royalties from the toys, thinking like, "Oh, I guess this will have to do." And I think he was the most well paid out of all the actors, because obviously Star Wars toys are pretty big.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the a lot of the cast kind of said that he sort of guided a lot of them when they were acting.
Yeah.
Alec Guinness.
Yeah. He seems pretty cool.
Yeah. R.I.P. Alec Guinness.
Indeed. When was that? We might be a bit late. We're 20 years late.
For a random tangent here. But...
yeah, random tangent on Alec Guinness. R.I.P. Alec Guinness 20 years ago. He was 86. Wow.
Is he the best Obi-Wan?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, Ewan McGregor, he is a lad, but I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's got nothing on my man Alec.
Yeah, I mean, Ewan McGregor also has the disadvantage of being in the prequels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who delivered the "Hello there" line better?
Alec Guinness.
Yeah.
It's less iconic, but you know. Also, to be fair, this is the last thing we're going to say on this random tangent. Like, Ewan McGregor, like, spent lots of time, like, trying to mimic Alec Guinness's performance and, like, pay tribute to him by, like, studying all of the, like, how he approached the role and tried to make it so that he was, like, a younger version of Alec Guinness. Cool. So, good time.
That's just a bit of an unrelated note, but
yeah.
There you go. We can add that to the Star Wars section now on the website.
Yes.
Plug the website, Ben. Come on, this is your chance.
Oh, let's go. Well, we've got a website. It is entertainmentofexcellence.wordpress.com, and it has a list of all of our episodes and a little hall of fame where you can see the best from each category. And we've only done 3 horror things, so Birdemic is 3rd.
The best horror film of all time.
Own new category.
Pardon?
Good time. Gonna. Have we done any?
Do we not have a thriller category or anything?
I don't think we've done any yet. Well, I guess this is going to be the best thriller for some time. If we give it like 0 out of 10, it's still going to be the best thriller. I mean,
go on. I was just wondering if you wanted to wrap up our thoughts on this and give our ratings.
Yeah. Sorry about this. I don't think this episode has been the best structured, but like 4-minute tangent on that Star Wars. Yeah, let's wrap it up. Our thoughts on it. Well, I thought it was
pretty good. Very stylistic. Pacing was generally all fast and really added to the suspense. I would say 7.5 is a good rating.
I just say I also really like the use of colour in the film.
Yes, that is also good actually. I've just remembered that. I mean, Pattinson did like the neon colours of that poster, so they probably they're like, all right, let's get loads of neon then for him.
Yeah. I also, having not heard of it before, as I said, I also really enjoyed it. It's a 7.4 on IMDb. I'll probably give it a 7.
Cool.
Yeah, I'd probably go with a 7. Like it was enjoyable, very stylistic, but then I just felt that maybe the plot was quite thin at times. Like the whole thing about the drugs and that whole side plot, getting the Sprite bottle and everything. That seems just, I don't really know how to put it. It just seemed unnecessary, even though it kind of did drive the story along. But I don't personally know what like they could have done better. I just feel that in an unhelpful, unconstructive way that it wasn't as good as it could be. So he's 7.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm slightly biased having watched another one of their films before, because I've seen Uncut Gems. So I kind of know that it's not going to have this. I mean, obviously the plot has this clear goal, but it's not going to have this proper linear, these are the plot beats kind of driving force, but still be fast paced. So I don't know how to explain it. It's not like there's kind of this event, then this event, then this event. I knew going in it was just kind of going to be flung forward, so I'm kind of used to that style that they do.
Yeah.
I'd have probably given it an 8, 9, or 10 if it wasn't so loud. If it was just a little bit more quiet.
It was
I would have
a bit loud.
Solid 10.0 if it wasn't so loud.
Of course.
Sound guys need to chill. Sound guys probably had a sip on that Sprite bottle. Cool. So, I guess.
Any recommendations?
Yeah.
Do you want to go first, Ben?
Sure. I actually have a recommendation this week. Cool.
What is it?
It is a film called Scanners. And it was an 80s film, and it's like sci-fi horror, I guess. And it basically, the plot, it's not got the strongest plot, but it's enough to, like, it suits the film, so there's still like a lot of mystery around it. So basically, like, in this world, there's lots of people with like telepathic abilities, who are called scanners. And so they can like read people's minds, influence their thoughts, and like move their arms to do different things. And there's this corporation who wants to use them. But then they give a demonstration and like to the public, and someone comes up to like be demonstrated on. But it turns out that he's also a scanner and like kills the other one. And it turns out there's this whole band of people who are led by like a rogue scanner, who essentially want to create more scanners and like overthrow the people who have like tossed them aside because like society in general looks down upon them. And so the protagonist is this this new scanner, who's who becomes a sort of spy for the company, and he goes underground to try and find this this leader, and basically it's about what he finds out about the nature of scanners and who the leader really is, and so his perception's slightly changed, and it's cool. I noticed
it's David Cronenberg. He's a cool guy. I've watched one of his films. I've watched Videodrome.
Oh, Videodrome's really good. That was actually the reason I watched this, because I saw Videodrome first and looked up some of his other films.
Cool. Videodrome is pretty weird though as well. It's really messed up.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy it.
Yeah. While we're at it, there you go. Videodrome's another one.
Videodrome as well is a good film. What else has he done? He's done The Fly. That's supposed to be good. Stephen King's Dead Zone. He did Scanners 2.
Yeah. Scanners 2 and 3.
Did he do 3? Did he actually do 3?
They came out. Yeah. Well, I don't know, but they came out in the same year. So it's like Matrix 2 and 3.
He didn't do Scanners 2, sorry. It was someone else. Oh yeah, they did come out in the same year.
4.4.
And then there's Scanners Cop. Right?
Oh dear.
Scanner Cop, which has the exact same poster as Scanners 3. And then there's Scanner Cop 2.
What?
Okay, this film, right, I enjoyed it. It did not need a sequel. I think I'm gonna have to watch
another 4 films.
Yeah, I'm talking about one sequel, let alone 4 films.
Scanner Cop 2? What's wrong with that?
Psycho all over again.
Yeah, like the ending was like a little weird and confusing, but like I don't think it needed to be expanded on.
What about Scanners Doppelgainers that came out in 2015?
Oh, you said Doppelgamers.
Doppelgamers.
Oh. Let me. 2015. It's got 6 reviews. I mean, it looks great.
Oh, gamers.
Do that next week.
I thought you were just pronouncing doppelgangers weirdly.
Nope, doppelgainers.
Oh, right.
That looks brilliant. Argentina.
Well, it's only got 6 ratings. Let's do it.
It's got no written reviews. Oh, that is a shame.
Well, that's so sad.
I've got a recommendation, and it isn't Scanners Doppelgainers, unfortunately.
What?
Is it the Scanners Cop?
It's a film that I was pleasantly surprised by, called The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I mean, it's a pretty popular film, so you may have heard of it before. Which, I mean, I thought it was just going to be some standard high school drama, but it's pretty dark. It's only a 12A, which is questionable because there's like drug use and stuff. But it's quite a dark, almost. It doesn't have a plot, but I was definitely fine with that because it was almost like a character study of the main character, who's this kind of standard wallflower almost. And the audience acts as a wallflower as well, just watching these people's lives play out and what happens to them. And it's got Emma Watson in. I'm worried that I've got her name wrong, but I can't. That is
the name.
Yeah, Hermione, right? Yeah, Emma Watson. Yeah. And Ezra Miller as well. Brilliant performance. And it's just this. It's really good. Yeah, it's pretty dark. Yeah, Paul Rudd is in it as well as an English teacher. And you just slowly discover this stuff about these characters, and at the end it gets really dark, and you kind of see what's been wrong with the protagonist. or what's caused him to be the way he is, because you get hinted at something that's gone wrong in his childhood. So it's really interesting, and there's some great moments in it, like about and just themes of being like a teenager and stuff. Bits that'll make your spine tingle. I mean, the script is so brilliant. So yeah, you should watch that.
Cool. I've also got some recommendation, and it is a different form of entertainment to what we have done. Ooh. It's not a film or TV show. It's not a book or an album.
Is it a board game?
It's a video game.
A video game. Ooh. Edgy.
And it's I'll show you a video game about something we unexpectedly talked about, which is Star Wars.
Scanners. Oh.
Yeah.
Doppelgangers.
That's right. It's Doppelgangers the game. Doppelgamers. It's all coming together.
Wow. Video game.
It's Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh yeah.
Which is like an open world campaign game set after Order 66, and the playable protagonist is Cal Kestis, and it basically tells the story of has to track down something called a holocron, which basically he can locate all Force sensitive children, so they're trying to like rebuild up the Jedi. And the story start off with it's a bit odd, because basically you have to flip between planets to like get a key, then you have to go back to another planet to open a vault, then you have to go to another planet to get a key and then go back. So it's quite a lot of sort of flitting around, but it does, the ending is, well, the actual ending itself is quite disappointing, but there's quite a lot of cool bosses along the way. There's the planet exploration's really good. It has planets like Kashyyyk and Dathomir, and there's also like options to sort of go outside of the story and explore the planets, try and get like customization options. It's also got really good lightsaber combat, and there's different. Obviously, there's like stormtroopers. There's different sort of animal-based bosses, and then once you sort of complete each planet, you have to fight against. Well, the main antagonist is the second and ninth sister. There's someone on Dathomir, I can't remember his name. Then there's a big surprise at the end of the game. Supposed to be getting a sequel, I think. It came out last year. I played it a while ago, but I think it's definitely one of the best like sort of Star Wars releases. I guess in 2015 with Force Awakens. So I would recommend that if you're a fan of Star Wars.
I think I've actually got it. Well, my brother bought it.
Yep.
Nice.
I definitely didn't have to look up Order 66 because I'm a fake Star Wars fan.
Oh, you fake fan.
Sorry for not watching the prequels.
You haven't actually seen?
I have, but when I was about 8. Do I really want to rewatch the prequels?
About 10 times.
Oh, I saw that loads.
Because I always just always like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch the whole series again, and just stop after that.
You watch 4 first.
No, well, you idiot! You do them in chronological order, and then you don't get to the actual ones because the prequels are so terrible.
No, you watch 4, 5, 6, then 1, 2, 3, then 7, 8, 9.
Did also see Phantom Menace in the cinema. It was in 3D. Well, supposedly 3D.
Ooh.
It wasn't.
It can't be when it first came out, right?
Apart from like the pod race.
You were 3 years
that was 4 years. Yeah.
4 years even.
Another weird tangent to Star Wars. Episode 10 of Entertainment of Excellence, Star Wars, all of them. Including the holiday special.
Clone Wars.
We'll balance it out with some Star Trek next week.
Well, when are we going to do doppelgangers?
Scanners, doppelgangers.
I'll have to schedule that for a future episode.
You know, like how there's
name cos as well.
There's a battle between Star Wars fans and Star Trek fans sometimes. I think there's a battle between
a Star Trek fan.
There's a battle between like scanners and Scanner Cop. I hope so.
Probably is. But the Scanner Cop fan's probably just like one neckbeard in his basement. Just like he's got all the Scanner Cop posters on his walls. He's got like he's playing in the background.
There are already
on
two
this telly.
Scanner Cop movies. Wait, Scanner Cop 3?
Oh no!
Oh, it doesn't exist.
Oh, that's so sad.
That is so sad. Is there a Scanner Cop fan website? This is a bit of a tangent, but I need to know.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to put in the title Good Time plus Star Wars plus Scanners.
Plus Scanner Cop.
No! I can't find a Scanner
plus
Cop.
Scanner Cop plus Scanners Doppelgangers.
Why is there no Scanner Cop fan website?
Oh, that's so sad.
Look, an article rated D+, that's pretty good. Or
Nice.
2 out of 5 stars because it's a moderately enjoyable horror movie that suffers for its cast and script. What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with suffering for a cast and script? Don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah, 2 out of 5 stars, that's pretty good.
That's like better than Birdemic.
Yeah, it is.
Cool. Anyway, before we bore you any longer with more Scanner Cop and Scanner Doppelgangers talk...
Scanner Cop is not boring.
Well, I think
I'm
going to
make
the original
Scanner Cop
Scanners
website.
are better. Do it right now.
I want to type in scannercop.com, but I'm scared of what
Probably
like viruses I could get.
Okay.
What a beautiful way to leave off the episode.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make it even better. Don't ever go on JarJarBinks.com.
It's just not a Jar Jar Binks fan site.
It's not.
Wait, we need
Jar
to
Jar Binks.
Wait, before we go, we need to please leave a review because we need to find out how to not be terrible. Also, maybe you could recommend a film to watch.
Yeah.
You can leave a comment. You can subscribe to our blog on the website. You can contact us via the contact form there. You can message us on Twitter and Instagram. Both are at ERV Podcast, where we post like clips of the episode there now, with like so many hashtags you can't even see the original post.
Hopefully I can get the intro right next time.
For the 10th episode, we'll just create a intro gone wrong reel. Bloopers. Long awaited return of the bloopers. Anyway, thanks for listening. Leave a review, please.
Please.
And you can share us with your friends and family because no one's got anything else to do during lockdown.
Yes, please.
All
Give
right.
us money.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. All right, see you.
All right, see you.
Yeah, that's it.